Yeah, so I am a trust fund baby, and there was a point in time where I was literally homeless I was sleeping on an air mattress in my brother's guest room. When I first turned 18, they handed me a big chunk of money.
Wow.
A big chunk of money. I get this big chunk of money every month, so even if I went broke, I knew that I was getting it right back.
Right.
So by 20, I had 3 evictions. By 21, I had DUIs. By 25, my credit score was a 400. Because if one thing didn't work, I could buy my way into another thing.
Oh my gosh, this is, for one, she is truly blessed to even be in this position. You know how many people wish that they were a trust fund baby? I know people make jokes and they be like, well, some of us couldn't be born in a rich family, but man, it might be a blessing in disguise. Some people aren't, because the situations a lot of people find themselves in because they have money. Y'all, I don't even want to get too deep, but I personally know people because they had money and they didn't have to worry about stuff. They had so many bad vices. They were alcoholics. I even have people that were close to me that passed away because they had the money and the luxury of time to do whatever they wanted to do. When they were left to themselves, that money went to bad habits. And it's very sad. And this is just interesting because she's so young. 3 DUIs?
Until eventually, I fucked my credit so bad that no matter how much money I had, places just didn't want to take me. And it wasn't even just my credit. I was damaging these apartments. I was in a relationship, so like we were busting things, and what I would do, call my parents, and my parents would top the apartments and they would settle on a price and we would pay it, go on with our day.
When people have access to money, a lot of times this is what happens. They may go through life without the discipline, without morals, without all of that, because the money can get you out of the situation. Now, that's really sad that she was in that sort of relationship and that was going on. I don't condone that in any way, but it sounds more to me like she knew that there was a level of misbehaving that could go on that she didn't have to really care about how she was acting, if that makes sense.
I mean, go on and move to the next apartment. But like I said, that only gets you so far. So that when I was pregnant with my son, that was like when I was very down bad. I told you I was on the air mattress. I stayed with my brother.
Right.
And I had to find a way to get my credit up before my son came, or find a loophole somewhere. Like, I was struggling. And, you know, a lot of people, when you do get money, like, because I was depressed as at that point, you know, but people just never took me serious because it's like, you're like, you know, my friends knew I was a trust fund baby because I was constantly paying for everybody. I bought my friends a period of time. I knew, like, I feel like I had 100 people in the room with me and probably only 2 people cared about my well-being.
And they were there because they knew you had that bad. Girl, what? Yeah. If you are the person that has money and you're just like, oh, yeah, I'm spending money on everybody. Yeah, the leeches are coming for you. Yeah, of course. And not just the leeches, the yes men, the people, they don't really care. As long as when it's time to pay, you footing the bill.
Did not give a fuck.
Yeah,
and
believe her.
Even though I lived with my brother, I was still outside buying people for no reason. And
it's time to cut them off. It's been time to cut them off. This is why I feel like it's better to act like you broke, because you know, people's true intentions. I have always been known to people as the frugal friend. And that's when I was being around people. I don't really like to be by people no more. I like my own space. I like to just be by myself. I find peace in that. But when I was around friends, I was the friend that didn't like to spend a lot of money. And it's not because I'm faking. It's because I really don't like to spend a lot of money. If we can't hang around each other without having to blow money, if we can't just sit and talk, if we got to be buying stuff or I got to show you that I got it like that, I'm not no damn socialite. I'm a regular human being. I want interaction. Can we have an intellectual conversation about real life? If not, then get from me. Get away from me. Because what are we doing?
Yeah, so when I did get pregnant with my son, I had 2 friends. I had 2 friends who stuck with me.
Sad.
Yeah, but I guess a lot of people didn't take it serious because it's like, when you have all this money, what problems do you have, babe? You have money. You have endless money coming in. And I thought that. That's what I thought too. Especially when I first turned 18. I was like, why can't I be sad? I have endless money.
And that's because money doesn't buy happiness. I know. Y'all finna come out the woodworks. Well, I'm gonna be depressed when I'm broke. And I know a lot of people are depressed when they're broke because they can't do the things they want to do. And sometimes that comes with real life struggles. But I keep telling y'all, money is not the end all be all. It is a resource in order to obtain time. That is what it is for me, at least, and what I think it should be to a lot of people. But what ends up happening, I fear, is a lot of people idolize money, and they're not utilizing it as a thing that can bring some sort of security in their life or to help them solve problems in the event that money is required. They're obtaining it because they believe it's going to bring them happiness and fix all of the problems that they have. Money does not fix all of the problems you have. And that's why a lot of people who are on TV, like celebrities and stuff, and I'm just using them because they are an example that a lot of people can instantly relate to. Not because you should be putting them on a pedestal because they have money, but they aren't even happy and they have all the money in the world. And they are some of the emptiest, saddest people you will ever see. And they can buy whatever they want to buy. So you have to ask yourself, why is that? Is there something missing? And to me, I believe the answer is they're missing the Lord Jesus Christ. Because why is it that you have all these riches? You can do whatever you want to do, but you're so sad and empty all the time.
Until I realized having good credit and being around people who care about your well-being is worth more than all of the money, all of it. And I'm going to stress this: credit, y'all. Your credit score. You have a good credit score, you're richer than most of the people our age.
And okay. What's interesting about this is she is in a position to where if she was getting a large lump sum of money and she didn't discuss how much that was, these are the people who really don't need to worry about a credit score because they can buy things. Credit score is especially important if you don't have money to buy things. For example, if you need to lease an apartment or you can't buy a car cash. Now, I don't know how much she was getting, but if she was getting it like that, she probably could have did a lot of these things without utilizing credit. Now, if she needs an apartment, yeah, your credit is going to matter in that case. But it's not just your credit that would matter in this case. It's also, have you been a good tenant in the properties you were leasing? And she was saying she was destroying these properties because she had the money in order to just pay them off. So let's just say she had good credit. Okay, you have good credit, but when they reach out to that old landlord, they see that you've been destroying the properties, and maybe they got paid off to just say, hey, I don't know nothing about it. If that happened, that's extra wild. But let's just say they weren't paid off to say these things. And say they pull your rap sheet and they see now you have a criminal history. You see what I'm saying?
And I started learning that you add 6 zeros onto your credit score. That's how much money you can get anything with it. So after I had my son, I had to rebuild my life from the ground up. And I'm not saying I had this hard. I get it. I had an advantage because I still had the income coming in. But when you shit on your credit for so long, the DUIs, the apartment things, the things that are on my credit, no one would take me. I had to beg an apartment, please, I am 8 months pregnant. I was I had to really beg them to give me a chance. I was I had to beg.
And that's what I was saying, y'all. When they pull your rap sheet, I don't care how much money you got. You are a risk to an establishment, to a business, if you are known to be messing stuff up. Think about it.
Thank God he found a way, because I ended up getting into the apartment, and that's how I got back on my feet. And that was when I started giving a fuck about my credit. And that's when I started, doing things like budgeting and saving stuff. Through my younger years, when all that was happening and I seen the people who didn't want to do with me after and how down bad I was, it was just dang, I'm a cornball. I'm so lonely. I felt like a loser. I was literally I have no real friends. A year ago, I had fucking everything. Everyone invited me everywhere.
That doesn't make you a cornball just because you're not getting invited. See, life is not a big popularity contest like a lot of young people think it is. And I believe she was young when she was doing these things, and that's maybe why she feels like this. But y'all, this ain't high school. We're grown. We don't care if we're getting invited to the party. We got real life stuff going on. When you have real life stuff going on as an adult, you ain't got time to be worrying about all of that. You don't have time to care if people like you, if they want to hang out with you. Why am I not getting invited to the function? I was so popular. Girl, any of y'all doing that, let it go. When you're 18 or 19, I can understand why you ain't understood it yet. But I'm telling you, the faster you understand that, the better you'll be. And it's better to keep your circle small. You don't need 100 people hanging around you. Why is that ever a good idea? Do you think 100 people around you have your best interests at heart? Probably not.
I had the nigga on my arm. I was great. I had my daughter was still a baby. I only had one daughter, and she was the little it girl. Everyone talked about her. I felt like I was so high.
See, and this is what I said it. I think a lot of people are chasing aesthetics, like what it looks like on the outside. Like, oh, she was an it girl. What made your 1-year-old daughter an it girl? What could have made a 1-year-old child an it girl? Why do real grown adults care? You see what I'm saying? And then she said she had the dude on her arm and all this stuff. It's like, that none of that matters. Who cares? When we get to the meat and potatoes of your real life situation, what's really good? You know, and what was really good for her was she was a trust fund baby. Like, she had income coming in. You know what she could have did with that? Do you know the moves you can make when you have that sort of financial security coming in every month? But when you're young and you care about all this worldly stuff and what it looks like to everybody else, and oh, I'm trying to be Miss Popular and be a it girl, and now I'm out here wilding because I got money, start fumbling the bag. Like, the bag was there. Sadly, I think a lot of people that are put in this position don't even know how good they have it, because the average everyday 18-year-old that is not in this position, you already understand it's not easy when you turn 18, especially when you don't have family to lean on or you don't have any sort of income coming in like that. Oops. But she was just young-minded. This is actually very interesting, a very interesting perspective, because this also proves the point that I be saying a lot of times, is that it doesn't matter how much money you have. If it's your mindset, it really is your mindset. And I know people love to argue me down in the comments like, no, if I just made more money, if I just had more money, if I came from a rich family, I'd be good. No, doubt it. Because unless they told you and taught you how to properly manage your money and how your mind needed to be, how you needed to conduct yourself out in the real world, the type of decorum you needed to have whenever you got in these apartments, how you should use your money that you have coming in to make you more money, not just to be balling out of control, buying people stuff because you're the it girl and you Miss Popular and you're a trust fund baby and everybody knows it, so they're there using you. If this is not instilled in your brain, you're going to do what most people do with money when they don't have the mindset and the responsibility that comes along with being a good steward of what they've received. You're going to blow it. Just think about the lottery winners, y'all. Most of them go broke within a few years of receiving large lump sums of money. Why do y'all think that is? I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, once they get the tax. Once you get taxed, that's only $500,000. Most of y'all ain't never seen $500,000 in y'all lives, and they have never seen it either. And you were surviving without the $500,000. You were doing just fine. You weren't rich. You weren't able to do whatever you wanted to do. Why do those people end up going right back to where they started when given resources to help them get out of whatever financial situation they were in? This is why you could never tell me financial education and financial literacy is not important.
And then, like I said, all of a sudden, within months, my whole life crumbled down. And then I started realizing my life has always been crumbled down. I was just throwing money on top of it and finding loopholes to the point where when I couldn't find a loophole, when my parents couldn't save me, I really seen how much of a loser I was. Like, babe, take away this trust fund. What the fuck are you doing with your life? Take away this money. What do you have? You don't got friends because you're a bitch. You don't.
Wait, so not having friends is not the end all be all. Like, okay, whatever. You don't got friends. Like, I know people love to have community, but it's all right. You're going to be okay. But then she called herself the B. Why do y'all do that? Why do y'all call yourselves a B? And if you don't think you're a nice person, I can understand that, because maybe that's how you really feel. But y'all, we don't got to say stuff like that. Anyway, but I would have to agree with the part about, hey, when you take the money away, what is left? Because a lot of people are walking around like the money makes you who you are. It does not. And it also makes you think, when you take away the items away from somebody, not just money, but just the items, all the things that make a lot of people look up and aspire to be like somebody. Would you aspire to be like them if they didn't have the money, if they weren't flaunting the money or all the things that they had?
Don't have nobody who would actually ride for you. I remember when I was pregnant with my son and I stopped going out. I wasn't going out. I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't paying hundreds of dollars for sections. Why am I a girl paying for sex? Oh my God. Yeah, I was
paying for sections. I'm sorry. Is this life? Is this what people aspire to do? When she's saying paying for sections, she's talking about sections in a club, you know, where they bring the little bottles out, the bottle sparklers. Y'all, who cares?
I was blowing through it. I remember when my birthday came, I was pregnant with Cyrus. I haven't been out in months. I haven't been really talking to anybody. Like 3 people wished me a happy birthday. In the year before that, I had at least 50 people posting, tagging me. My slide story was this big, little dots. I had so many people wishing me happy birthday. I had so many people at my party. Like, my party went from a house party to a hotel. Like,
yeah, because they knew you had money. Like, ma'am, yes, that is why your stuff was quote unquote popping. Them people was there for a good time. They was not there for you. They were like, oh, she got money. There's a party. Honestly, they probably just seen her like a walking lick. Nothing more, nothing less. Because years later, why aren't they still there? When you stop telling people no when it comes to your money and they stop showing up, that tells you everything you need to know. That tells you everything you need to know. Why they was really there.
That was the year before. So when I seen that I have nobody, oh my God, y'all, I can't even tell you how I felt. My whole day was ruined. And it was simply because I didn't get a happy birthday. Like, but it was just like, it wasn't even that. That was like the underlining code.
It could just be me because I don't mind being by myself. And it's no offense to anybody who likes people around them, but I'm actually just trying to understand why someone would care that much, that people aren't wishing you happy birthday or people don't care. Because I'm of the thought and belief, and it's not just with her, that people are walking around the earth, they literally don't care. I felt like this since I was 18. And I'm not saying you can't have friends, like have a friend group and people throw you a party, because I've had people do it for me. But I'm saying as a whole, generally people just aren't worrying about you 24/7 and all this and that. And usually on the social media stuff, they're doing it for the clout of it all. Like, they were sending you all these happy birthday wishes and stuff because you were spending money on people back then, and you probably, stopped at some point. And they was like, whoa, she ain't popping no more. So they didn't care. And then you took offense to that, but really, they were likely just leeches. And I mean that in the nicest way. They were probably leeches.
Really, it was just because I realized that I bought so many of my friends, and I was buying everything. Like, yeah. And then when I had nothing, I had nobody, right?
Those weren't your friends.
So yeah, I always went through that. And sometimes money is the problem solver. But sometimes money is also what starts the problems.
Yes.
And yeah, I had to learn that the hard way. I learned that money can't save everything. I learned you can't buy your way out of everything. And I had to get back on my feet by myself.
And money can't buy you friendships, like real friendships. Money can't buy you love. Money can't buy your connection with the Lord. Like, money can't buy a lot of the things that people really want. I'm glad that she's grown up and started to understand this, but it's really sad how she had to understand it. And this is why it's very important for these things to be instilled into people's heads before they're older, because imagine your daughter or your son going out in the world with money or even without money, and you think that you can buy people, you think you can buy friendships. It just doesn't work that way. All that it ends up doing is attracting people around you that mean you no good. And I don't think anybody would want that for their son or their daughter, or even for themselves. You don't want a bunch of people around you who really don't care. And though this is a very sad story, I'm glad that it was an eye-opening one for her, because I think it's also eye-opening for a lot of people who think that, hey, all I need is just to make some money and my whole life gonna change. Exactly what she's saying is what is likely to happen.
That's why when anyone always says, oh, you're a trust fund baby, oh, you're this, you're that, or you haven't been through
No, you
Trust
can.
me, I have. And even before that, like my substance problems, I was spending so much money on rugs, like thousands a week, y'all. I'm not joking. At least, not thousands a week. I meant thousands a month. At least $700 to $800 a week on rugs for me, for people around me. I had people stealing from me all the time, and I couldn't remember, and I didn't want to accuse people, but they were stealing from me, and I just couldn't believe it. My mom would constantly, one time my mom's laptop went missing, and she was like, oh, Hannah, your friend stole it. And I said, not my friends. Yeah, not mine. Not my ride or dies.
So you mean to tell me you was around a bunch of thieves? Criminals? Nah, I'm good. See, keep your circle small.
Tell me why these stupid ass people end up bragging about it and to somebody, and they tell me, yeah, they stole your mom's laptop. And these are people who I basically had living off me. Like, what are you even stealing the laptop for? Like, what? Like, that doesn't even, I'm paying for everything already. Like, just money is not the problem solver. If you have a lot of money and you're buying everything,
right,
I just want you to know who's ever around you most likely is not your friend. They're only there for what you supply. That's why when I see all these little TikTokers, and I be feeling so bad, they be surrounded by all these people, but I already know they there for that TikTok money. And it's just sad. Credit is a thing. Credit, have good credit, you a rich mother.
I'm not gonna lie. I think having good credit is important, but I also think that financial literacy is just as important. Make good financial decisions overall, y'all. That's the best thing you can do. But this was one of the most interesting stories I've seen because she was a trust fund baby and she essentially went broke. I want to know, just from your perspective, and I know a lot of y'all ain't trust fund babies, but a lot of people have went through something similar. I've seen this time and time again. And it wasn't from trust fund babies. This was from average, everyday people who had money and they had people around them that meant them no good. Walking leeches. I need to know down below in the comments, have you ever been a victim of somebody trying to suck you dry mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially because you had that bag? But y'all, we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.